something that a lot of early freestylers deal with is swearing, essentially, to navigate through a freestyle, which is a very common thing because it's an easy way to kind of like fill in syllable gaps and fill up space. And so I hear that going on. I would say that long term, the goal should be to reduce that, not because there's anything wrong with swearing at all. You can swear as much as you want in your music, just because you want to be swearing when you really mean it and using those words to emphasize your message instead of using them kind of as a default to fill in space. For me, I think like the biggest skill that you could work on in your freestyling is working on creating coherent phrases and that don't rely on crutches or filler material that's repeated throughout. So original coherent phrases. And so for me, the best way to practice that is either with a word generator or just the objects around the room, but just taking an object like remote and then coming up with some kind of coherent phrase, ideally in rhythm that ends with the word remote. So I take control like I'm gripping the remote. Or got rappers on mute because I'm holding the remote. Turn up the volume like the remote. Don't change the channel if you holding the remote. So these are all, and those are short kind of like half bar ones. You could practice doing longer ones too. Rappers think they cute, but I got them all on mute. I'm the one that's in control because I'm holding the remote. Turning up the volume, but don't change the channel. Keep it locked here if you holding the remote. Those are longer phrases, right? But they're coherent in the sense that they make sense. And the material that I'm using to form those phrases relates directly to remote. I'm not practicing actually creating rhymes. I'm just practicing creating coherent phrases and sentences that make sense and have to do with the object, as opposed to relying on sort of like filler and stock kind of like things that you can say to buy time in between hitting the target words, which would be like, stepping up to me, don't fucking try it because I'm fucking rhyming and y'all know that I got the remote. Right? So it works. It's nice in terms of like the rhythmic feel, and you're filling in that gap with words, which is not easy to do in and of itself. But those words don't have very much to do with a remote. So they kind of just can be said at any time. And then what ends up happening is often we start repeating ourselves and saying these same sort of like connective material all the time.